Live from Freeport, Grand Bahama, this is Newsnight 13 at 6:30.
Good evening all, you're watching Newsnight 13 for this Monday, November 26, 2012. Good evening all, I'm Shasheena. Rolle. As always, it's great to have you with us. Topping news today was a historic one as a joint session in the House of Assembly was held to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the women's suffrage movement in the Bahamas. Parliamentarians highlighted the struggle of women that fought for their civil rights and a right to vote. In bringing her remarks, the Minister of Social Services called for unity among all women to ensure that the fight for equality continues. Parliamentarians, family members of the women who fought for equal rights, the first woman elected to Parliament, students, and many more gathered to be a part of the historical observation. During the joint session, Minister of Social Services Melanie Griffin paid tribute to the bold and courageous women who refused to be held back in their quest to ensure that women could vote.
The celebration of this 50th anniversary has provided a unique opportunity for us to examine the work and times of the movement and to learn about some of the inner thoughts of the leaders, their stamina, their determination, and their tenacity. We have been able to hear from living and walking historians about what made them tick and what drove them to relentlessly take on the establishment of the day in their search for social justice for women everywhere.
Griffin also read the names of the courageous women into the record of the place she says they were once denied.
Mary Ingram, Mabel Walker, Georgiana Simonet, Eugenia Lockhart, Doris Johnson, Althea Mortimer, Mildred Donaldson, Willa Mae Saunders, Marion Stewart, Joan Stevenson, Dame Alberta Isaacs, Shirley Sands, Ethel Kemp, and many, many, many more.
She encouraged women throughout the country to celebrate the leaders of the women's suffrage movement and noted that every female politician stands on their shoulders.
It is through their efforts that women throughout the length and breadth of the Bahamas can say, we have truly contributed to 50 years of nation building. Where to from here? My sisters, we still have many rivers to cross. We still have miles to go before we sleep. Like the pioneers of the movement, we must put aside our differences. This is not the time to squabble over bygones. We must move forward, upward, and onward together.
Griffin also applauded the men who supported the cause and says that we must ensure that the contributions are taught to our children and our children's children. Now, during the special session, the resolution was passed in Parliament committing to proceed with the legislative process which will eliminate all forms of discrimination against women in the Bahamas. Female parliamentarians shared the significance of the women's suffrage movement, noting that the battle is not yet over and women throughout the country must do their part to continue the fight for equality.
We must act with alacrity to remove all forms of discrimination against women from our Constitution. We must release the shackles of second-class citizenship from Bahamian women.
We are so happy to know that we are on one accord, that when we move forward to that wonderful resolution, that there will be no discord in that regard, because Bahamian women realize that even though delayed 10 years, they will finally get justice and look forward to being equal in every which way that the Bahamas can enjoy for women.
It is because these women and so many more paved the way that there are now 10 women included in the composition of the Senate and the House of Assembly today.
They garnered the support of thousands of Bahamians and fought the mighty, the rich, and the powerful. And Mr. Speaker, Madam President, they prevailed.
The battle is not over, and we must be continuously imbued with the spirit which brought us here, one which speaks to fairness and one which calls for justice.
The lack of equal pay for equal work, glass ceilings, and the inability to pass on citizenship in some instances are outstanding dues that we women have come to collect.
I call on all of us here to renew our efforts and focus on the evils in our nation which still remain to be conquered. In their day, the suffragettes overcame the hurdle of that day. But what will we do now for the women of today?
The question then is, what are we leaving as women for our future generation? What role are we playing in the elimination of poverty in this country? What contribution are we making against human trafficking and exploitation of women in this country?
Now, during the joint session, the nation's leader, the Right Honorable Perry Christie, noted that the nation would forever be in debt to the women who started one of the most historically important movements in the development of democracy in the Bahamas.
What is so privileged about this date in our history is that we have all come together, led by our women parliamentarians and their supporters outside of Parliament, to symbolize the occasion of the suffragettes who wanted to move forward towards equality. And the lioness spoke eloquently today.
Now, leader of the official opposition, Dr. Hubert Minnis, says those extraordinary women answered the call to become the voice of the women in the Bahamas.
It was their sacrifice and commitment that brought about the revolution of equality and basic rights, not only for women, but for all that suffer civil discrimination. Today, we thank these women for their unselfish courage and willingness to answer the call to serve not only themselves, but our beloved Bahamaland. It is this unselfishness that creates a nation and a proud people. Mr. Speaker, we support this resolution.
Well, now on to other news. Tragedy striking the island of Abaco yet again. According to reports, police on patrol discovered a two-door green Honda overturned on Forest Drive on Sunday morning. Police say 3 passengers were found on the outside of the vehicle, and 1 male passenger, believed to be the driver, was trapped under the vehicle. He was pronounced dead by doctors at the Marsh Harbor Clinic. The 3 other passengers, 2 males and 1 female, were all rendered medical treatment and discharged. Now, this is the second traffic fatality reported in Abaco within a week. You may recall last Saturday a traffic fatality on the island claimed the life of 3 young people and injured 2 others. Tonight, police are strongly urging the public to drive with due caution and care and to drive to stay alive. And in other news, Grand Bahama will figure prominently at an international training camp in Eleuthera this week, coordinated by the National Geographic Society. Tonight, Sabrina Brown tells us that out of the 25 students heading to the camp, the majority are from Grand Bahama.
13 young people from Grand Bahama, who are now known as Peer Ambassadors, left the island on Monday morning to attend a week-long photographic training camp at the island school in Eleuthera. These students were among the top finishers in a Say No to Drugs and Crime campaign earlier this year. Co-chairman of the Bahamas National Drug Council, Joseph Darville, says the participants were allowed to compete through song, rap, poetry, and essay using the theme, "Drugs and Crime Are a Waste of Time." He says this mission will allow the young minds to take their message further.
What they will do in Eleuthera is to have the type of photographic information and design that would collate with what they have written now, and so there would be that powerful imagery, visual image, when they move among all of the schools in Grand Bahama and the rest of the Bahamas.
Darville says this is a golden opportunity for this group of young people, as this is the first of such a camp to be held in the Bahamas.
This particular group will form actually the basis of an incredible invasion in the whole school population in the Bahamas, so that every single child will know that drugs and crime are a waste of time.
Peer ambassadors Shanae Bastian and Versace Nichols are happy to make a difference through this adventure.
It's very important because we now have the opportunity to represent the Bahamas in this experience. The National Geographic Photo Camp is a very big thing, and they travel worldwide to do this program.
It's important for me to participate as a teenager because I need to spread the word of the use of illegal drugs.
Sabrina Brown, ZNS Network News.
Stay with us, more news on the other side of this break.